I don't have a fitness routine. I have not been into a gym since before COVID.
So I actually stopped going to the gym completely just because I was like, I don't have childcare.
70% of moms say they feel guilty taking time for themselves, including working out. So no wonder traditional fitness plans fail. Today, we're breaking down why moms don't need a rigid gym routine to be fit and how daily life already counts as movement. But first, I want to introduce someone to you who's joining us for the entire episode, Greg Burwell, the founder of Zero Sweat Fitness. Hey, Greg, he's joining us on phone today.
Good morning, Jamie. How are you?
Good morning. We're great. We can't wait to talk about all the challenges that moms face when they're trying to get fit. And I'm hoping you have the answers for us.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Moms, let's talk about the biggest struggle that you face when you're trying to approach your fitness routine, if there is a fitness routine. And feel free to introduce yourselves. Stacey?
Okay, so I'm Stacey, and I would say the biggest struggle, it's time. Just finding the time to fit everything into my daily routine.
What is your daily routine?
So I work as an occupational therapist. So basically that's an 8-hour, sometimes a 10-hour day. And besides taking care of the household, family, even my own personal needs, where do I find the time to fit all of that in? So, and then again, fitness. That has always been a struggle. So I had to recognize time, what am I really doing with my time on a daily basis, and making, I would say, important choices and prioritizing my time into what fits me best.
I mean, really, you just said 8 to 10 hours a day you're working,
Yeah.
right? So that knocks out majority of your day. And then you're a mom. So I'm assuming your needs are not the only ones that you have to meet.
Exactly.
Not even the first need that you need to meet.
Exactly.
So, okay. So no time. Anybody else having that challenge?
Yes, for sure. I'm Sarah. I'm also a mom, and that's kind of mine too. I work as a paralegal, and so I'm getting my kids up and ready for school in the morning, and then I'm getting myself ready for work, and then I come home at 6 or 6:30, and by then I'm just like couch time. It's just easier.
Well, how old are your kids?
My kids are 9 and 16, so I have a high schooler and a third grader.
Okay.
And a puppy.
Oh.
So a
Curveball.
a third baby.
Definitely. Wow. Okay. And I'm assuming the kids just help you out tremendously with the pet.
They are helpful. I think that's kind of why we waited a little longer to
smart.
get a puppy. That way they were like more engaged and saw more as a member of the family than like a fun toy.
Well, that's
We didn't take care of.
another one for you. So are you able to fit?
Most of my exercise, I would say, comes from like natural movement, like just walking. I mean, really, I don't have a fitness routine. I have not been into a gym since before COVID.
Wow.
COVID was the last, right when COVID hit, that was when I stopped going to the gym, and I haven't been since.
See, if I interject, so how often are you moving around versus sitting on a couch when you get home from work?
Not often enough. Not often enough.
So you feel with your job, are you sitting?
Most of the day, yeah. So it's a lot of like research, typing, drafting documents. It's my exercise at work would be like walking to my boss's office to ask him a question.
Gotcha. So even in a best case scenario, you just don't have the time. I mean, the math doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, you're sitting all day long, and then you come home and you're mentally fatigued
Yes.
from your job, and then you sit on the couch. So yeah, okay.
That's a great opportunity for Zero Sweat to implement more movement into your life. So even though you're sitting down, you can keep moving and being active. So it may be a really good solution. The whole idea is to think of fitness differently. So in a whole new way, we want to think about fitness instead of just thinking about it as something that happens in the gym. And remember, there's a distinction between fitness and health. The two are separate. And when we think of fitness, we think about going to a gym or having a membership somewhere. But health is a product of movement. The body was designed to move, and this, thank goodness, it works sometimes, technology, but for the most part, it's a deterrent to moving. You know, as I was pointing out to someone, there was a time when we didn't have remotes for TV, so you would actually have to stand up and change the channel. That's all changed. Convenience is great, but it comes with a price. And the price is sedentary behavior, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm curious because I know you're going to break down non-exercise activity thermogenesis for us. Neat, because I know that's what Zero Sweat Fitness is based upon. But before we do that, I'm curious, Madison, you have one child?
Yes. I'm Madison. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I actually work out every single day. It's really important
Wow.
to me. I really try to make it a huge priority in my life.
Can I interject? Do you by chance feel guilty when you take that time for yourself?
I personally don't.
Good.
I
Okay.
used to. There was actually a gym that I joined that had childcare, which I was like so excited about. And my daughter doesn't go to daycare yet, so she's just with me. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And they would call me and tell me she was crying every time I dropped her off. So I felt insanely guilty
course.
for one, just trying to get my own workout in, but two, knowing that she's struggling so bad not being with me was a really hard, little dig into my fitness journey.
Tugged at your heartstrings?
Yes, absolutely. So I was postpartum when that was first, occurring. So I actually stopped going to the gym completely just because I was like, I don't have childcare. And that was my biggest wrench for me, was just getting in the gym and not feeling bad about it. And then two, finding someone that could watch my daughter and I wouldn't feel like
And she
was
wouldn't
being
feel-
neglected.
Yeah, and she wouldn't feel that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to reroute how I did things, figure out where she could be during the day since my husband works 70 hours a week. So it's just me and her all day long, which again, really is why I started working out, because I just needed some space and I needed like a little
You needed
break.
some alone time?
Right, yeah, just maybe an hour with my thoughts. It's
Understandable.
nice. So she goes to family now. I'm very fortunate to have a great support system. So she'll go to my mother-in-law's or she goes to my mom's. So I have at least some support there to help, and I'm able to go. So I think I always have the motivation to go. I
That's
feel like
great.
not having the free will to go makes me want to go that much worse.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because someone's like, oh, well, you can't unless you do X, Y, Z. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, Z so I can get there. It's important. So that's been at least 6 months that I've gone almost every day. And I just really try to do something. If I can't go, I can still at least take her places with me. So we'll go to the park. She loves to go to the trampoline parks. So she's like, can we go to the jumpy place? So
Oh, there's some fitness.
I'll get a little pass for myself and I'll jump with her. Or there's like indoor playgrounds that I like to go with her and run around. So I try to find something at least to do during the day with her if I can't go by myself. And then recently I started doing bar classes. And fortunately, the one by my house also has a childcare class.
And is she handling that better this
Yes.
time? Okay.
So it has gone significantly better.
She's older now.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the time, she was only 1 and a little bit when I first started. But now that she's 3, it's much better. I want to say there's only 5 people max that bring their children to the class. So it's a very it's a smaller field. She gets a little more attention,
Yes.
and no one's coming to get me saying that she's having a bad time. So
That's good. That's
yeah,
perfect.
it's been a month. I got a membership just a month ago, but everything's going smoothly so far.
So, but what I love is what you just said when you were talking about how you get creative. Your time with her, right? Is
Yes.
you can't be at the gym 24/7. So when you're with her, you go to the park, the trampoline. Is it a trampoline park?
Yes, they're called trampoline parks, but it's just like a huge indoor. They have trampolines, they have foam pits. There's an actual
Encouraging activity.
playground.
Are
Yes.
they?
I do those with my
Yeah, they
kids.
probably love it.
Love them. I'm like, and yeah, of course I'm gonna jump with y'all. It's so much fun, and you get
I
so
love it.
tired.
You really do.
Oh, that sounds like a great thing for kids. Wear yourself out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They chase the other kids around. Like there's tons of birthday parties and stuff that kids do there. So I really love that.
So, Greg, this sounds like zero sweat, like to a T, right?
It is, non-exercise. Well, moving around, that's the key. Keep moving, and that's critical. Up until the age of about 13 or 14, young ladies are as strong as boys are at that age. And the reason why is because they're playing, they're on jungle gyms, and they're moving around, they're lifting and actually able to do chin-ups. After that, they're being called tomboys, and so that's a deterrent to that sort of movement. And so from that point on, women lose upper body strength in comparison to men. But if they were to continue in such activities, they would be comparable in a lot of ways. Not the exact amount of strength, but they'd have a lot more upper body strength than they do now currently.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. The pressures on young women versus young men and the expectations of what activities we should be doing on a daily basis. We don't think about it that specifically, but yeah, it is very different. And that makes sense that why, one of the reasons, obviously there's hormonal differences and genetic differences, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I want to jump back really quickly to what Sarah was saying about how she's at work, and Stacey, she's at work for so many hours, and there are only so many hours in the day, especially when you have children, because even the hours not at work are tied up with your children in some form or fashion. So I think the whole point, and correct me if I'm wrong, with Zero Sweat Fitness is taking that time where we are tied into a specific activity like work and making that time contribute to our overall fitness. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's the absolute key. The key is movement. We can sit and be very still, or we can be actively sitting. By that I mean we could be marching, we could be doing isometrics, either adduction of the legs. We can do a number of things like that. We can do leg extensions. We can do, extending the leg.
Feel obligated to do these things as you're saying, though.
We can do toe raises.
Kind of hard to do in heels, but yes.
Yes, exactly. But we can remove the heels and then go up and down.
Under your
belly
desk at
veil.
work, yeah.
Exactly. So a number of things to do. We can go ahead and if we're on a conference call, we can do a wall sit, for 30, 60 seconds and stuff. We can do sit stands. We can stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. We can do desk push-ups. So there are numerous ways things we can do to remain active.
And for somebody like Madison, who sounds amazingly active, which is probably why she looks so fabulous, but it's all about taking that baseline, because we're not, obviously Zero Sweat Fitness is not encouraging people to stop working out or saying that that's bad. Obviously that's great, but I feel like the target is to capitalize on the time where we aren't exercising, and how can we improve from whatever our baseline is. So her baseline is different maybe from the rest of us.
It's truly an anomaly.
Yeah, she is something to look up to. But even she could take this zero sweat, non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, and capitalize on her time as well. So for all of us, for example, at work, I don't realize how still I am because I tend to hyper focus on the task in front of me on the computer, whether it's setting up a listing or entering something into the system or flipping through the photographs looking for a home for someone. I don't realize how still I am, but what's good about my office is our lights in the office are on a timer. So I started realizing in the office, the lights would go out on me. And at first I found it very irritating because I was like, but then I thought about it. I must be sitting so still that the office thinks no one's here. So I am really being sedentary, way more sedentary than I'm realizing. So now I kind of use the lights cutting off on me as a signal and a reminder of move, Jamie. So then it reminds me to do the zero sweat fitness concept. And so I'm finding that very helpful, but for not everyone has motion censored lights in their office to remind them. So
And
I
that's-
actually do too. And then I've noticed it lately. That's a great idea to start doing it for the zero sweat. Cause to me, I'm like, oh shoot, I've been sitting here for a long time. And especially with my job as a paralegal, I have to bill by the minute. So my day is like so tracked and I get so involved. And then I'm just like, oh, the light popped. Cause I like to work in like dimmers. So mine goes on if I haven't moved in a while. And so,
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why, but that's how our office works.
that's backwards.
I think it's like if it's an hour of stillness, it goes on. I'm like, okay, I gotta get up. I gotta at least like walk down the hall.
Yeah, or even if you can't get up,
Move
like
around a little.
if you're on a task, like it just is a good cue to like, okay, do something you can, like Greg was saying, contract my abs or hey, leg extensions. Oh wow, I haven't moved my knees in a while. Something.
Yeah.
Right. The key is, and this is the objective, as I mentioned earlier, it's unusual for someone who is active all the time. 78% of all Americans do not have a consistent exercise program, so zero sweat is ideally suited for them. Once we pass the 30-day threshold, we realize that we have formed a habit. There are some people who are fortunate enough that genetically they're geared towards fidgeting, and that's in essence what we're doing. Constant movement and moving, even when we're seated. Okay, and there are people who say you can't sit still. This is what we want to incorporate into everyone's life, so that they're moving, so that people become healthy. Again, there's a difference between health and fitness. Now, fitness may constitute something like, I want to get into a bathing suit for summer, or I have my 20-year high school reunion. But basically, we want to be healthy. That's first and primary. And these are the problems we confront with high blood pressure, obesity, etc., diabetes, as a result of limited to no movement. So it's key.
Yeah, it is true. I do feel like the older we get, I feel like our goals shift a little bit because we become acutely aware of aging and what's happening. For example, when I am sitting at the office for too long of a time and I do try to stand up, I can't just pop up and go. I got to give my hip a minute to kind of relax and and then I can take off. So it is true, like thinking about fitness in my 20s and what the goals were, and thinking now about how my goals are shifting more towards health, overall health, instead of just fitness and aesthetics. It becomes even more crucial, I think, to think in terms of what you're saying, zero sweat fitness and non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So with moms specifically, can we incorporate their kids if we're not at, say, a trampoline park, or like what are some things we can do?
Very easy for the 3-year-old. Simple. We can do resistance-based activity. So we pick the child up, we can actually curl, and then we can do an overhead press with the child. Let's say we do that 10 times. Then within the next hour, the next minute or so.
That sounds hard.
It does. It really does.
Can you overhead press your 3-year-old?
I don't know if I could do 10 times. I don't know if I could do it for sets. I think I could maybe.
Safely, let's say 4. We do 4 times.
Yeah, I could get her 4.
And then we follow that up with what we call the equivalent of a goblet squat. So we're here, we have her underneath the armpits, and we can actually squat.
Right. That's basically putting her in the car seat. Talking about you bend down a little bit, you squat, you pick them up. That's a good.
Right.
The car seat years was like a workout on its own.
It really is.
It really was.
I really avoid putting her in the car seat
and the
as much as I
pull-out ones
can.
are so heavy. Like it's like you're like carry.
Yeah, the infant carriers.
At least you know you're working your upper body.
Yes.
With your car seat.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I have a question. I'm curious, like, and you may just say, no, there's just not enough time, because I guess if you're putting your kid in the car seat, like, you got to go somewhere. But
Right.
what if you could like play a game with your child and do it several times? Okay, we're gonna play a game. How many times do we get in and out of the car seat? I don't know. Just
Right.
thinking in terms of increasing.
You definitely could. Hop
Activity.
back out, and then they're active as well. They're
Right.
climbing in, getting back out. It's a
And
fun little
for
thing.
a 9 and 16-year-old, for Sarah, she can do things with her sons, her 2 sons, and that would incorporate either playing catch or something else involving the puppy that you have. So more movement, taking it for a walk a little bit more, going out to the park and playing fetch. Summertime's coming, so the days are longer. So some ideas for doing that.
The puppy was actually the part of the reason for the puppy was to give me somebody to start going out and exercising with again, because my kids and I used to walk together a lot, and now that they're a little older, they're like a little too cool for that.
Too cool for
Going
mom.
Walking with mom, but my puppy will go walking with mom.
Right.
So
Oh, that's
that was kind of like part of like, I need somebody to like motivate
encouragement.
and he will motivate me because he's like always ready to go.
Yeah.
That's true. That like there are parents out there of pets. I see on the Beltline all the time. I see people with their pets in strollers.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't think about that aspect of being a mom. Interesting.
And just piggybacking on what you said about as you go through the years, thinking about fitness and health changes, and then even what Greg said about zero fitness. I think you have to always make use of your environment, your
Yes.
space. Like I work in a 7-floor building. So one way that I get my fitness in, it's every morning I start climbing up to the 6th floor.
Oh, wow.
So, initially it wasn't
Wow.
easy, but I'm doing it now, just all the way through. So that's one challenge. And then my job, even as an occupational therapist, the way that we get people better is through movement. We were engineered, the human body was engineered to move, to undergo stress, and that's one way we maintain fitness as well as health. So whatever instructions, exercises, biomechanics that I'm telling my patients to do, sometimes I will do it with them for demonstration, or I'll be like, come on, I'm going to do this set with you.
Nice.
So that's one way that I get
can-
my movement in. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And then even like when I take my lunch breaks, I'm just fortunate enough to be in an environment where there's a wooded setting on campus. So I'll just take a walk. It could be a 20-minute, 30-minute walk. Walking is beneficial. Like you said, you have your dog where you can go, walking with. But walking, it's simple enough that you can get something done and you get yourself moving.
And if you're already a walker, if I'm understanding the idea of Zero Sweat Fitness is if that's your baseline, let's say some people are probably saying, I'm already a fidgeter, or I already walk, every single day. Great, that's your baseline. How can you improve? How can you take the time that you're walking and add something to it? What's something you can put on top of that or increase the intensity? Because you said the body responds to
Stress.
and that automatically made me think last year I became an unexpected caregiver, and the tasks of moving a human being from a bed to a wheelchair or from a wheelchair to a regular chair, all of those tasks initially were impossible, but it was mind-blowing because I was forced to do those tasks repeatedly. However I could, my body adapted.
Yes.
And it was crazy how, like, you look at 3 months later at yourself and you're like, whoa, how did I get this fit? And it's those activities. And so it goes right into thinking, okay, if this is my baseline, I walk every day or I do X, Y, or Z every day, what can I add on, or how can I take the times when I'm not moving and build upon that? Am I right, Greg? Is that pretty much what we're...
You're absolutely right. And what you're referring to, your ability to adjust to that stressor is we call it general adaptation syndrome. And one of my favorite scientists, Hans Selye, said the absence of stress is death. And when you think about it, when we don't have BP, we're not living.
I'm not sure anybody could say we have the absence of stress, but
Now,
when
but
you
there's
say
the
it
difference
like that,
between stress and
no,
distress.
I know. I was just joking, but when you say it that way, it was kind of for me an epiphany of, stress is a good thing, and I don't mean like stress of work or life or anything,
Yeah.
but
Gravitational
yeah,
stress
that's
is
a
good
stress
thing.
every day.
Without it, astronauts experience significant lean body loss as a result of weightlessness. So it's not good. They actually have to work out for a couple hours a day just to minimize the loss of lean body tissue. So again, gravity helps us. Now, if we go beyond that by going against gravity more, instead of just sitting, we definitely enhance health.
I love it.
And one thing that I have observed throughout the years I've been in my field in therapy, because I see patients from, let's say, about 30s through up at least 100. And the patients who are in their 80s, 90s, who recuperate really well, they're always moving. It may not necessarily be that they're in a gym or have something structured, but you're always doing something. They always have that willpower, be it simply gardening, taking walks, cleaning the house, bending, picking something up. But they are the ones who are, I would say, most active. Even if something happens to them, let's say they may have fallen, broken a hip, because of that movement or that the repetition of that daily activity, they recuperate really better. So, and that made me realize, as I've been in the field and even getting older, it's all about just keep moving, just keep moving. Even if you don't feel like doing it, just keep moving, because sometimes you really don't feel like doing anything. But it could be a simple task like cleaning, taking one room every week and cleaning, bending low, getting into a child squat, a low squat for a minute, if so much. At least you're going to involve your quads in some kind of isometric hold. And that, in essence, is actually strengthening your legs. So I learned, just observing my patients, what it really means to maintain movement and longevity, because that's how they maintain their health.
Yeah. And taking what you just said back to even a smaller step for people, because I'm thinking about, maybe someone who's completely sedentary, not active in any way, maybe obese, maybe has a medical situation. When I'm sitting still, even if I just move like this, or if I just, roll my shoulders or anything small, I notice that my body feels better than the complete stillness. And I think it is quite surprising when you become aware of how long we are completely still, like no movement whatsoever. So what you were saying, if there's somebody out there who's like, I'm never going to do a bend over and squat, or maybe they're never going to go clean a room or whatever it is, just adding movement of any kind, no limits, can be helpful. And so that makes me think, I'm curious, with everybody's different, commitments to fitness and lifestyles, like what is one small thing that you could do in your daily routine right now that you could change and commit to that wouldn't feel overwhelming and would be pretty simple?
I think one thing that I could definitely do, like I live in an apartment complex that's kind of a garden style spread out layout, but just walking my trash to the dumpster instead of driving it to the front.
Ooh, busted. Okay, so that wouldn't feel overwhelming,
I
would
don't
it?
think so. I mean, it's like, what, 0.1 miles? I don't know. It's not very far.
But it's
And it would take me 10 minutes instead of 3 minutes, but
Yeah.
that's just 10 minutes of walking.
so it's achievable.
Yeah.
Okay, well that sounds like it could have a good impact. What about you, Stacey?
I would say, like where I live, it's a pretty safe community. It has hills, flat surfaces. So just walking again, but making sure I go uphill, downhill, increase my speed. And now that we're headed into spring and the weather's warming up, I think that's something I can achieve pretty easily and also have the time for that. So be it when I get home from work or even before I head off to work, I think that's something I can achieve, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And that's something I'll enjoy as well.
Yeah, that sounds doable. Okay, Madison, I'm curious. I really want to hear this one. This girl's already a machine, so.
Well, I would also just say walking. I think I have recently become obsessed with my step count. So I'm like always.
So many people are.
I'm always checking my phone. How many steps did I do today? I really don't get as many as you probably think I do, but I've recently been trying to hit 10K. So I just think walking is really good for you. I think it would be helpful to have some kind of accountability partner though. It's like Sarah was mentioning her dog. That's a great partner, a great way to start. I have my daughter. Very helpful to have someone that's always wanting to go outside and say, Mom.
Never ending
Come
energy.
on. Yes. So I think those things are very beneficial. And just like you said, having a safe place to walk, somewhere you feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But if you don't, there's always like school tracks, places that, some parks are populated, of course. But yeah, I think there's ways, especially with the weather getting nicer.
Yeah. Everybody
Even
wants to
some
go outside.
churches have indoor walking tracks.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, and those are open to the public. So I think just finding those
your
places
space.
that you can go.
Yeah.
Maybe people that hold you accountable or even make you motivated just to see them. Like, oh, I get to go see my friend. I get to go play with my dog. I get
Right.
to spend quality time with my child. Things like that are helpful.
I think for me personally, it's going to be attacking my time in the car because as a realtor, I find myself in the car a lot and there's only so much you can do. But I think I'm going to probably try to address like contacting my muscles just with isometrics in the car, like glutes or like my biceps, if I can press up on the steering wheel. And I think I'm just going to become a little more conscientious of that time because I mean, when I'm thinking about it, it's not just in the office that I'm sitting, I'm in the car a lot. So I think that's going to be my one takeaway today is to become more conscientious of my car time.
Well, I was thinking about the car too, that when I'm very sore, I actually feel my muscles a lot more during doing certain actions, especially my core. So like when you're driving, you got to brace yourself to turn, you got to,
Because everything hurts.
yes. And so I feel like there is a good way in the car to practice some of those
Definitely.
movements.
Definitely. And a lot of us are, being in Atlanta, are in traffic for
Everywhere is
time.
far.
That is true.
When I had a longer commute, I would do that. Those engage stands. I'm like, I get to do something here, and like it's standstill traffic. It's, my commute now is about 10 minutes, so it's not really. It's amazing. That's amazing for Atlanta, but it's not really long enough to like be bored.
Oh, right.
Well, I think this is all good information, and I thank you guys so much for coming today. I think now, unless you disagree, Greg, is a good time to kind of break away and watch some of our sample exercises. Excuse me, I said a bad word. Movements. Because we're talking about creating a movement revolution here, getting people to move and look at fitness differently, and that it doesn't have to look like a gym or a dumbbell or a squat or a lunge, but it can be simple movements.
Exactly.
So with that, thank you, Greg, so much for
Thank you,
introducing us to this. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
hey, everyone, welcome back to Zero Sweat Fitness. If you've been following along, you know we're all about finding simple ways to stay active throughout the day, no gym required. In today's episode, we're tackling a time when many of us are the least active, while watching TV. Whether you're binge watching your favorite series or catching up on the news, I've got some easy movements you can do right from your couch to keep your body moving and your energy up. Let's get into it. First up is seated marching. While sitting on your couch, lift one knee up towards your chest, then lower it to switch to the other leg. This is a great way to keep your heart rate up a little without even standing up. You can do this during commercial breaks or while watching a show. Next, let's try some couch squats. Stand up from your couch, lower yourself back down as if you're going to sit, but don't quite touch the couch. Then stand back up. Repeat this for a set of 10 to 15 reps. It's a great way to engage your legs and glutes without missing a minute of your show. While sitting, extend one leg straight out in front of you and hold for a few seconds before lowering it back down. Switch legs and repeat. This is a simple exercise that works your quadriceps and can be done while you're comfortably seated. Now let's focus on the upper body with arm circles. Sit up straight, extend your arms out to the sides, and make small circles with your hands. Start with small circles and gradually make them larger. This is a great way to keep your shoulders and arms active, and who doesn't want better arms, right? Lastly, let's do some glute squeezes. While seated, simply squeeze your glutes together and hold for a few seconds before releasing. This is an easy way to engage your muscles while relaxing on the couch. When doing these movements, remember to maintain good posture. Sit up straight during leg extensions and arm circles, keeping your core engaged. For couch squats, make sure to keep your chest open, head up, and squeeze those glutes. These exercises are perfect for multitasking. For example, do seated marching during commercials, or try a set of couch squats between episodes. The key is to sneak in these movements during your TV time so you can stay active without feeling like you're missing out on your favorite shows. Staying active while watching TV helps prevent the negative effects of prolonged sitting, like muscle stiffness and sluggish circulation. These small movements keep your muscles engaged, boost your metabolism, and can even improve mood by keeping your body moving. Today's question comes from Sarah. How often should I be doing these movements while watching TV? Great question. Try to do a few exercises every 15 to 20 minutes, or at least during every commercial break. It doesn't have to be intense, just enough to keep your body from getting too sedentary. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next video on easy ways to stay active. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with friends and family who might also enjoy staying active while watching TV. Drop a comment below if you have any questions or ideas for future episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.